This is an example QCEE assessment instrument for IA2. And so you can see that you will be given a little bit of context and then a task. In this case, investigate an authentic business that is in the maturity stage of the business life cycle and operating in a highly competitive and hostile environment. This is the basis of the unit. The maturity stage and highly competitive hostile environments. Focus on a specific problem faced by that business to examine a branding strategy, which is marketing related, and a total quality management strategy, which is operations, implemented by the business. So here is, in this particular assignment, you would need to know about those sub kind of ideas in order to then look at the business in terms of those factors. And then in this case, create a business report that communicates strategic development to the business owner or manager. So you've got those two aspects here, marketing and operations, that you're looking at. You've got the idea that it's a mature business and it's a hostile environment. Those are the consistent aspects here. And you could be having different requirements. This one is focusing on total quality management and branding strategies. You could be asked to look at outsourcing, for example. So let's have a look at an example in more detail. So Kmart, the issue that it's facing as an example, managing customer data, consent, and privacy preferences. So an operational strategy it's using to address this is working with some other organizations on the consent at Kmart centralized consent management solution. So this is a platform that collects and manages customer consent around the use of data for personalization, advertising, analytics, and all future applications. So that's something that is an operational change that they've made. And then a marketing strategy. They've actually got a new employee, a MarTech architect, as they call them. So a mesh between marketing and technology to bridge that gap between marketing and technology. So you've got the best customer experience possible. So think about different businesses that may have an issue that they've tried to address using operational strategies and marketing strategies. To finish, some tips and advice to help you as you navigate the rest of Year 12 business. So try and use business terminology. You've got your textbooks, your class notes, and your syllabus to all give you that indication of the language that you need to be using in this assignment and your future assignments and exams for this subject. And also just pay attention to your teacher. Your teacher is going to be taking you through all of these things that you need to know. And within that, they're going to be using the different terminology that you need to then understand and use yourself. When you write your assignment, aim to have a complete draft. I cannot emphasize this enough because the more that you have in your draft, the more feedback you're going to get from your teacher to help you refine what you've written. If you can do it as much as possible in advance, treating your draft as the final thing, then you know where you're at a little bit more. You've tried your best and you can then see how you've performed when you get your feedback. Read the syllabus and use it as a guide. I've referred to it a couple of times today, and also this whole structure of this lecture, all of the content that we covered today is from the syllabus because the syllabus dictates what you can be assessed on. You're not going to be assessed on anything that is not in the syllabus. So reading that, using it as a study guide, particularly for exam-based things, so your external exam, that can be really handy. It can also just show you the different requirements for an assignment. If you're not sure about the amount of time you have for an assignment, the word count, the criteria as well, then you can go there for all of that information. And reading the sample assessment on the QCEE website, which I provided that screenshot of before, you can look at that in more detail to see what you may be expecting to have. And there's also a mid-level exemplar on the QCEE website for Unit 3, Topic 2. This can give you an indication of what you should be aiming for if you're going for that mid-level mark, what you should be trying to build on if you're aiming for something better, a mark that's higher than that. And it can just show you basic things like structure, like terminology, and things like that, that can then guide the way that you do your response as well. And lastly, referencing. Referencing in assignments is really important, and it's great to get into it now and to get a really good system going, because if you do decide to go to university after school, then referencing is even more of a big thing to make sure you get right. So keeping track of your references is a great thing to get in the habit of doing. And personally, I like to do my formal referencing after I finish the final copy of my assignment. So you can see down the bottom there, I've got an example of what it would look like in the draft and what it would look like in the final. So first of all, you've got this idea of keeping track of references. So I use a coding system. I create a table, and you can just have a really simple table. It could just have a code with a letter or a number and then just the URL. Or you can include all of this other detail as well, like the date you accessed it and the author. It depends on whether you want to have to go back to the resource when you do your formal referencing to get this information, or whether you want to just get it there originally. Once you've got that table, then you can create other tables with a title of the notes, and then some notes with where the reference is. So you got it from the reference with code A. That means that you don't need to be putting this huge URL everywhere to show where you got something. You've got this really concise, easy thing to keep track of where that information was from. Then you can see in the draft section there, you can put ref standing for reference with whatever number or letter it is in the body of the text. So that can be what you have in your draft, and that means that you're keeping track of where your reference is from. But if you need to make changes before you do your final submission, then you're not putting all this effort into doing perfect referencing only to then get rid of it later. So oftentimes I had to get rid of words from my draft. So if I had have done all of the referencing in my drafts, then that would have been a huge waste of time, because I always had to get rid of things anyway. So that's just the way that I did it, and I would recommend that you follow a similar thing to save yourself some time, and make sure that you get everything right in terms of your referencing. Thank you everyone for coming along to our business lecture today. I hope that it was helpful for you, and I hope to see you in some future lectures as well. Good luck with the rest of your studies. Bye everyone.